everyone, I'm Gabrielle and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to talk to you about the 7 mistakes first-time homebuyers make when purchasing their first home. If you're enjoying my content and would love to see more, I would greatly appreciate a little like and subscribe below. The reason I wanted to make this video for you is because oftentimes this is a really scary process for people. It's diving into the unknown and it's something you might have never done before. And it's tough to know when you're working with a good real estate agent. Oftentimes you have to vet several before you know you've found one who's going to deliver you value. But if you haven't done that yet or haven't even talked to an agent, I wanted to give you a heads up on some things that are common mistakes people will make so that you can make a better decision going into this process. The first mistake homebuyers make is assuming you won't get pre-approved for a loan. To have the most power and leverage as a buyer, ideally you'd want to have 20% down, impeccable credit, and as little debt as possible. But even if you don't have that, it doesn't mean that you can't get pre-approved for a loan. Even in a very competitive, fast-paced market, you can still purchase a home even if you have as little as 3.5% or 3% down. Even borrowers with less can get a loan in today's market. It really is a matter of connecting early on with several loan officers at different companies to learn about the various programs each company offers. The second mistake that first-time homebuyers make is only talking to one lender. As I mentioned before, different companies are going to offer different programs for buyers. So talking to multiple vendors are really going to give you a sense of all of the programs that are available to you. The other thing about talking to multiple lenders is that fees and rates vary substantially. So talking to multiple lenders gives you the opportunity to negotiate and get a better rate, lowering your monthly payment and interest upfront before you're even talking about sales price. For more on the strategy of approaching working with multiple lenders, you can find this in my other video about tips for first-time homebuyers. But as a general rule of thumb, you won't want to talk to more than 3 lenders in any 30-day period because each lender should be running your credit. And if you talk to more than 3 lenders in a 30-day period, it will actually negatively impact your credit. However, talking to up to 3 lenders will only hit your credit once because creditors know that you're only going to be obtaining 1 mortgage. The third mistake is getting pre-approved too late in the process. What I mean by that is that it's never too early to get pre-approved. You can always re-up it 6 months down the road, but knowing how much purchasing power you have up front and having a pre-approval letter ready to go as soon as you find your dream home will allow you to be able to move forward on that home as soon as possible and sometimes even beat other offers to the punch, helping you win that home in a competitive situation. So essentially, getting pre-approved is helping you not risk losing your dream home. For those of you looking to buy a condo, getting pre-approved up front will also give you a lot of clarity on what your monthly payment will be considering condo fees, right? So for example, let's say you want to spend no more than $2,000 a month on your housing monthly payment. We also have to consider condo fees in that. So when you're working with a loan officer, they will be able to tell you what price range you should look in if you're also going to be considering an average cost of condo fees monthly. This way you're looking at condos within the right price range for you. The fourth mistake, and this happens so often when I talk to buyers who have spoken to agents previously and they've failed to mention that there are closing costs when you purchase a home. These are costs that are outside of your down payment. So in our market like DC, oftentimes you'll see about 3 to 3.5% of the sales price in closing costs. From a buyer's perspective, these costs do not go towards your agent's commission. They're actually majority fees and taxes. And if you're working with a very good loan officer, before you ever write an offer, they will be able to walk you through line by line all of the fees and taxes that will be incorporated in your closing costs so that you know what to expect when you get to the settlement table. As a first-time homebuyer, it's also important when you're considering closing costs that you ask your agent if there are any programs available to first-time homebuyers that could potentially lower those closing costs, or if there's an option where you could negotiate the seller throwing in money towards your closing costs. The fifth mistake is allowing your credit score to change before you actually close on your home. Even though you're pre-approved, this doesn't guarantee funding, and if your credit score changes or your debt to income ratio changes, this can significantly impact your ability to own the home. So I usually recommend that if you're considering buying furniture for the space, but you're just waiting to settle, sign the papers, get the keys, and officially own the home, I always suggest either using cash up front for that before you settle on the home, or just waiting until the day after you own the home. The sixth mistake I often see first-time homebuyers make is underestimating the cost of home maintenance. What do I mean by this? It's a very different lifestyle going from renting to owning. It means that you're on the hook for any repairs that need to be made in the home, and trust me, there are going to be repairs, just like there were in the place that you'd rented previously. However, you had a landlord that oftentimes and hopefully took care of those repairs. For any home buyer, I always suggest keeping about 1% of the home's value a year in a separate savings account. Maybe you'll use a lot of it, maybe you won't, but just having about 1% helps you use that towards maintenance for the home. So on a $600,000 home, just consider saving about $6,000 a year on any home maintenance you might have. And this can be things like minor electrical work, perhaps you want to do some paint touch-up from hanging a TV, or drywall repair if there's a minor leak. Minor things like that can pop up, and if we don't take care of them up front, they oftentimes only get worse with time. The final mistake is overlooking market value. What does this mean? Sellers can list for whatever they want. So oftentimes the list price has very little bearing on the actual market value of the home. Whether you're in a competitive, fast-paced market where you see escalation clauses, or in a buyer's market where inventory moves slower, either way, as a buyer, you want to make sure you're very clear on the market value up front to understand whether you're paying a fair price, are you paying below the market value and getting an exceptional deal, or are you paying above the market value? Because you want to be aware of that. You want to make sure that if you are overpaying, consider the resale value. Where's that neighborhood headed? What have the past trends shown us in property value appreciation in that neighborhood? These are all things you want to be educated on before you own the home. And I don't want to overwhelm you. This is something that your real estate agent should absolutely be educating you on and doing the work for you. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to who've told me stories like they were up late on Zillow doing their own comparables and they had no idea what to look at. They also lacked the data that we as agents have in the MLS to know if the sellers provided concessions towards closing costs, because in that case, the house actually would have sold for a little bit less. I've also heard stories from people who have said they walked into a home with their agent. The agent said, I think we should offer $50,000 over the list price if you want to get this home, and they did it. And maybe that's a fair deal. Maybe it's not. It's probably not. But you want to make sure you're not just blindly writing an offer. It only takes a couple of hours for your agent to do this work up front, and they owe it to you, and you deserve to know this before you make a decision on price. That's all I've got. Thank you so much. If you appreciate the content, please like, subscribe. Thank you again.